Hi, this is Teresa Jewell. Welcome to part 2 on our videos on how to make hats on your 12-inch square loom. We're going to show how to make a pom hat and a ponytail hat and crochet in a little hair ponytail holder in that so it has a really nice shape. First thing you have to do is weave 2 panels off your 12-inch square, and so you see we have 2 panels here, and you put them on top of each other, and what you're going to do is whip stitch 2 sides together. This is the one side of your hat and this is the other, and you've got the top and the bottom side of your hat. So first thing you're going to have to do is thread a needle. And the easiest way to do that is place your yarn in your fingertips, and you see where the tip of that yarn is. Put the eye of your needle over that tip of your yarn, slowly let go of the yarn, and it should thread nicely. Now what you're going to do is at your corners, insert your needle, pull it through where you're leaving a little tail, and just tie a nice square knot at the end. Now what you're going to do is insert your needle from the bottom and go up through the top. Insert from the bottom, go up again through the top. Now you can see I'm slowly sewing in the tail of that yarn, so that way you're not going to see that tail. And also where I'm inserting the needle is where the nails were in your loom. So each side you should have a little loop, and I'm just inserting in each loop. And this should go pretty fast. You can see putting it on the edge of the table helps keep them lined up. Now you can crochet your pieces together, but a slip stitch will make it nice and seamless going all the way down. Now don't worry about your tails on the other end. I'll show you how to get rid of them as we're finishing up our hats. Now this hat here that I'm working on is one strand of alpaca and the other is a nice acrylic yarn, which helps hold the shape of the hat. I find that when you do it 100% alpaca, sometimes your shape doesn't hold as nicely. So I'm going to go all the way down, lining up my corners, making sure they match. And if your needle gets a little twisted, just let it hang and it'll untwist itself. And I'm going all the way to the bottom. Now I already have some strings down here, so I'm just going to secure them to another string just so they hold. Now you can see I've got 2 sides sewn up, and at this point I'm going to turn them right side out. And I have another one here that I've done the same with. I'm going to turn that right side out. Now this one here, I'm going to show you how to make the shape for the top of your hat. Now, we don't want to just whip stitch the top because that will make a square topped hat, and the top of your head is not square, it's round. So I'm going to show you how to make that round. Again, you're going to take some yarn and thread your needle. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to do a hem stitch on the top. See, I'm not putting both sides together. I've got just one side here. And I'm just going to go in and out with my needle at the top of my hat, just like that. I'm going to make sure I don't lose my tail. I'm going in and out. And I'm going to do this all the way around the top of my hat. And this hat that I'm working on right here is actually 2 strands, 1 acrylic and 1 wool. See, and there was my seam for my 2 panels. I just kept going. And this is also how you do the toe on a slipper to get that rounded edge on your slipper. So we're going to go all the way around, and see, there's my end right there. We're going to go right to where I began. And there I am. Now you have 2 ends. This is one, and here's another one. Now what you're gonna do is cinch that up. Just pull. Make it nice and tight. And you're going to tie that into a knot. Now you can see the top, there's still that tiny hole. Now if I didn't want to put a pom on that, you really don't want a hole on the top of your hat like that. So if you didn't want a pom on the top of your hat, you want to make sure that you sew this closed. And just a couple stitches. I'm going to go in this way. I'm going to go back over this way. And then tie a knot again. Now, that hat could be done. I did put a little crochet edge, and we'll show that on the other hat how I did that. But this hat could be done if you wanted it plain. But what we're gonna do is put a pom on top of this hat. So what I like to do is use one of these pom makers. You can get these I think they sell them at Walmart, and they also sell them at Michael's. So you're going to take one of these pom makers and open it up like that. gonna take your yarn, and you're gonna wrap around this edge here. Now you want to make this nice and full. There's different size palm makers. I've seen them small, medium, and large. This is the medium palm one. But I suggest if you're doing hats, you get all three because they really, really are useful. The small one is nice for children's size hats. And I like to make my palms really thick. The thicker you make them, the better they're gonna hold out, especially if you're selling your hat or making a hat for a child. They like to grab the hat by the palm, and you don't want it to fall apart. So I always know I have enough yarn when I fill up this gap right here. And you're gonna think this is gonna be like an excessive amount of yarn, but it really does turn out really, really nice. There we go. That's just about enough. And you can see I'm using, instead of the plain green wool of this hat, I'm using the variegated yarn. And that's gonna make a really, really nice palm. And we're gonna do the other side. And the trick to this is how to get it off. And when to cut it. Trust me, this palm's gonna be wonderful. You're gonna be glad you watched till the end. And we're gonna show you how to secure this on your hat too. Almost there. Don't be afraid to put a lot of yarn. There we go. Okay. So now that looks nice and full. I can barely shut it. Now what you're going to want to do is cut your end off. Now I have here a ball of cheap Red Heart yarn. I would not use this for the body of my hat, but for creating for the string on my palm to hold it secure, this is a great yarn because you can pull it nice and tight and it's not going to break. So I'm gonna have a piece of this ready to go. And it's about as long as my forearm, probably about 18 inches long. So you have your palm, make sure it's nice and tightly closed. Now what you're gonna do, this is the scary part, you're gonna go up in between and you're gonna start cutting. Just hold it tight, don't let it open, and it'll all be good. Make sure your scissors are really, really sharp scissors. because a dull pair of scissors will make your yarn fray. So use your good scissors for this. Okay, now I've cut all the way through. I don't see any, oh, look at that. There we go. Make sure you've cut all the way through. Okay, that looks good. Now, this seam right here, you're gonna place that really strong yarn right on that seam, and you're gonna squeeze and pull nice and tight. And I like to put it in between my knees, just so I know I'm holding it nice and tight. I'm gonna make sure that's good and knotted. And I actually bring it around the other way and knot it again. And you can see how hard I'm pulling on this string. If I was using that nice other yarn or alpaca to be doing this, I would have broke that yarn. So cheap red heart does have its use. Keep it on hand. So now I've tied it off really good, nice and secure. Now I'm going to open up these little doors. Let's see. Just like that. Now, pop it open. Now your palm is not done yet. Give it a good shake, puff it out. Now you can see when I hold it up, there are some bits and pieces that are not quite. So you're gonna give your palm a little trim. Give it a shake. You're gonna make a good mess on your floor. Make it as round as possible. There we go. Now that's a good palm. Now, you've got this nice red heart here, and that's what you're going to secure to the top of your hat. Now you can see I didn't bother cutting that off because that's just going to look like part of my palm. So when you're tying this onto the top of your hat, you can feel where you sewed the top of your hat, and you can feel where it's hard. And you want to put one side of that, and then you're going to grab your other side. So I've got one going in one side, and I'm going to go one going in the other side. Not right in the middle. Believe me, it'll be more secure. Now you're looking at the inside of the hat. You're going to tie that nice and tight. Give it a couple good knots. There we go. Cut that off. Cut that off. See, now you don't even see it. And that, oop, got another string in here. There we go. Is a palm hat. There we go. Now, for your ponytail hat. Now you've whip stitched both the sides of your hat. Now what you're going to have to do is crochet this ponytail holder on the top of one side. So grab yourself a crochet hook that's the correct size for the yarn that you're using. Everyone asks with the looms and everything, what size crochet hook do you use? You always want to use the correct hook for the size of yarn that you're using. So I'm going to make a slip knot and put that on my hook. Now again, you can see the little mountains of where the nails were in the loom, and that's where I'm going to connect. That's where I'm going to go through with my hook. So I'm going to place my ponytail holder right there. I'm going to go through my ponytail holder and then through one of those mountains. Grab the string, go through, my string, go through again. Now again, I'm going to go through the ponytail holder. Now I'm not doing every mountain, I'm doing every other. So I just did this one here. I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go to the next. So it's every other. Through the ponytail holder, skip one. And the reason why you wouldn't do every one is you would really run out of room to stitch. I'm going to go right around my hat. And if my dogs start barking, we'll have a part 3 to this video. Let's see, turn. Now it's going to get a little tight, especially as you're getting to the other side of your hat. But it looks so nice, it's going to be well worth it. And I have to give credit, while you're listening to me chat while I crochet, to Elaine Ryan, who created the first ponytail hat with this loom. And it just looked fabulous. And so I kind of took her idea and ran with it. So thank you, Elaine, for sharing that idea. Now you can see I'm kind of running out of room here. Just gonna tighten that up a little bit, give me a little bit more room. But see how nice that's looking on the side? And it doesn't really take too long to crochet the top. See that I'm running out of room again, so I'm just going to tighten that up. Oops, lost it. That's okay. And I just came to a seam in my hat, and I'm just going to continue to skip every other hole. and it does get a little more difficult as you get closer to the end. But the end result is really nice. Don't want to lose your tail from the other side. So just a couple more stitches. There we go. Now I'm at the end. I'm going to cut my string. Now I like to take my other tail and bring it through my working loop so that way my two ends are secure. There we go. Now, I don't want to just cut these because I don't want them to show. So I'm going to thread them through my needle. And I'm going to weave it back into where I crocheted. Before I cut it. There's one. And here's the other. And there is the top to my ponytail hat. Perfect. Now, the edges here, I don't want these tails here, but it's a lot easier to sew in your tails into a crochet than into the weave. So again, I'm going to make a slip knot. And this time I'm going to go into every one of those little mountains that the nails were in. And I'm just going to do a simple crochet stitch all the way around. And once I go all the way around with that stitch, it will look like this on the edge. And that gives you a nice cuff to roll up. And what's nice about these ponytail hats, what I found with others that I've purchased, was the rim of the hat was not long enough to really go over your ears or the back of your neck. And with these, with the 12-inch loom, you really have enough material there to really cover your head and make a nice warm hat. So I hope you liked my video, and if you would like to see videos on anything else, just send me a message and we'll do it up for you. Thanks, bye.